wealth of experience as an educator and coach. And she's passionate, about helping individuals and parents rediscover joy in their relationships. Today, she'll be guiding us through reclaiming health and wellness, reclaiming inner child. I'm very much looking forward for this to hear what she has to say. So help me welcome Myrna.
Thank you, Lisa, for the introduction, and happy that all of you are here. Yeah, I think those of you who have attended before, you know me, but I'm one of the, Lisa and myself and Shauna and also others who aren't on the call today are part of the core team of introducing or working on Self-Care Isn't Selfish. And as Lisa mentioned, this is gonna be interactive, so it's good if you have some paper and a pen or pencil to take some notes in a little while. So you may know, have heard of the inner child work. It's actually not new. It's something that's rooted in ancient mythology. Even back in Zeus, he had trouble with his father. There was some, the mythology is that he was going to be devoured by his father. And we have fairy tales about children heroes who were threatened by ogres and demons and witches, such as Hansel and Gretel and Cinderella and the Little Red Riding Hood, and all religious stories also have some kind of story about a child who becomes the savior or the leader. It was actually Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung who first officially proposed the concept of the inner child, and it came after his own work on his childlike feelings and emotions. In the 1960s, inner child became popular in psychology. It was part of the transactional analysis movement. And in the 80s, it became an important role in the voice dialogue, and especially in recovery movements like Alcoholics Anonymous. And they extended their programs to include children of alcoholics because they realized the impact that it had on children. And experts have said that up to 95% of the population of our world has had inadequate parenting in one way or another. And I think it's because parents do the best they can, but they just don't always have the knowledge or the experience themselves of having loving parents. And today, there's a lot of therapists and counselors and coaches who work in the area of trauma healing with individuals and couples and families. There's many, but some of the names are John Bradshaw, Dr. Richard Schwartz, Tara Brach, Gabor Mate, Thomas Hubel, and many others. So I'd like to share my screen now, and we're going to start with a basic definition of, oops, hold on 1 second. I messed up I need to reopen my PowerPoint. Somehow I didn't do it properly. Okay, let's try that again. All right, so let me share my screen. So inner child work is an approach to recognizing and healing childhood trauma. So we know that, any person who has been in a disaster situation or a war situation has some kind of trauma from that. But childhood trauma is usually a little different because it happens over a longer period of time, and sometimes it's much more subtle. But basically, we're talking about things that happen to us that impact us still today. Much of our experiences from our childhood impact us. Our past impacts our present relationship and experiences. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And inner child work focuses on finding ways to meet the needs that we have still, whether we recognize it or not, that weren't met in childhood. And it's one way of looking at it is thinking that we're reparenting ourselves. So Charles Whitfield wrote the first book on inner child work. He's the author of Healing the Child Within. And he says, the absence of the child within leaves a painful feeling of emptiness, like something is missing in our lives. Relying on the false self, we try to fill our emptiness with all kinds of people, places, things, behaviors, and experiences from outside ourselves, but it doesn't work because the absence of the things from the outside didn't cause the emptiness. What caused it was that the child within us went into hiding, and as a result, we lost our true selves and therefore our ability to connect with others and with God in a meaningful way. The only way to fill our emptiness is to realize the true self within us and experientially connect it to God. So it's not saying that we can't connect to God and to others at all, but it's saying that in the original sense that we were created to be reflections of Heavenly Parent, then it's challenging for us to connect in a deeper way many times. The inner child work that myself and Lisa and other coaches, Shauna and Roseanne and Kendra Stein, we all trained under Hilda Weinman. And she used the inner child work from two people. The first person is Lucia Cappuccioni, and she wrote the book Recovery of Your Inner Child. And she says, the inner child is a powerful presence. It dwells at the core of our being, a healthy, happy toddler. And as time goes on, the child runs headlong into the demands of the adult world. The voices of grown-ups with their own needs and wants begin to drown out the inner voice of feelings and instincts. In the process of raising, disciplining, and educating children, adults often turn the children into predictable adults. For survival's sake, the growing youngster sends its delightful child spirit underground and locks it away, but the inner child never grows up and never goes away. It remains buried alive, waiting for us to set it free. So if you think of, your own experience growing up, how you were parented, and how we parented others, our own children, sometimes it was very difficult to deal with the energy and the free spirit of young children. So it's said that, the most impactful time for learning who we are and gaining knowledge about ourselves in the world is ages from birth to age 7. And I certainly know as a teacher, it was challenging to try to figure out how to deal with these delightful children's spirits and still manage a class and get anything done, anything taught. So she continues, the inner child is constantly trying to get our attention, but many of us have forgotten to listen. When we ignore our true feelings and gut instincts, we are ignoring the inner child. When we fail to nurture our body and soul, we neglect the inner child. When our inner child is blocked, we are robbed of our natural spontaneity and zest for life. Over time, this may lead to low energy, chronic, or serious illnesses. When our inner child is hidden, we also separate ourselves from others. They don't get to see our true feelings and wishes. They never see who we really are, and which makes it impossible to experience true intimacy with others. We never get to truly know each other. What a tragedy and loss this is. For us to be fully human, the child within must be embraced and expressed. So inner child work isn't just about myself. It's about reconnecting to others in more meaningful ways, whether it's my spouse, my children, my friends, my community, and also to Heavenly Parent. Some people describe it as when we are separated from our inner child, our true self, that it's like living from the neck up. We're living in a realm of thoughts and maybe some emotions, but not truly connecting our heart in a deeper way. So later at the end, when we have announcements, Lisa's gonna tell you about opportunity to explore in this book with Dr. Lucia Capiccioni in a deeper way. So the second person that Hilda introduced us to in our coach training is Stephanie Stahl. They met in Germany, and Stephanie's book, The Child in You, The Breakthrough Method for Bringing Out Your Authentic Self, was translated into English a few years ago. And she says, the child in you wants to find a home where they feel protected, secure, and welcome. The inner child represents the sum of impressions made on us as children, the good and the bad, experienced through our parents and other important figures like teachers and other caretakers. It is safe to say that the inner child is a significant part of our unconscious. It's the fears, concerns, and adversities we have experienced from the cradle onward. On the other hand, it also represents all the positive influences of our youth. Once we have met and befriended our inner child, we come to recognize the deep desires and scars we carry within. We can begin to heal, our self-esteem can grow, and the child within will finally find a home. This is a prerequisite for forming friendlier, happier, and more tranquil relationships. So all three of these authors that I quoted here give us insight into maybe what we haven't recognized, or maybe we've had hints of it, or if you've done some inner child work, maybe you have more of a sense of feeling about what happens from when we're born, and as we grow into adults, what happens to that spontaneous young child. So now I'm going to share more details about the inner child and how we can work on reparenting ourselves. So this presentation comes from the second book, Stephanie Stahl's, or the third book, Stephanie Stahl's. So now you need to have your pencil and paper ready. We are going to go into breakout rooms to share. And what I'd like to ask you to do is just notice what comes up for you. Make some notes. And if you have already done some inner child work, or you attended the presentation that Kendra did some months ago, then some of this might be familiar to you. So we're all born with our original self and our inherited self. Inherited means whatever we received from our parents and our grandparents. And as we grow, our caretakers around us are doing their best to love us, but they aren't perfect. So we have different degrees of painful experiences, wounding, and emotional hurts. And we call this the wounded self, or the wounded family. Some people call it the inner family system. So we usually experience in these painful emotions, we experience shame, maybe, and we learn how to hide some parts of ourselves. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But for right now, we're going to talk about the masks and the coping methods that we deal with. And maybe you're wondering why this is necessary. Why pay attention? Sometimes we don't want to feel the painful emotions or experiences. But it's part of a present transformation, which we're going to talk about the other 4 steps. But the first step, this comes from Crystal Within, which is a program that Hilda and other coaches have developed. The first step is self-awareness. To become aware of the triggers or the uncomfortable feelings that we experience when something happens, and start noticing them in our own body. And I like to use the word awakenings instead of triggers, because it's something that is awakening our attention to. We have to pay attention to it. And it means that these feelings and emotions are important. And why we need to do this is that we cannot change something that we are not aware of. The ability to change begins with self-awareness, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's painful. So if you feel a little stressed right now, just take a couple deep breaths. And I would like you to think about any painful emotions that you experienced as a child. I have listed some here: fear, panic, rejection, abandonment, feeling not safe, feeling violated, anger, disgust, frustration, sadness, insecurity, powerlessness, or shame. So I would like you just to write down feelings, and if you can write down, jot down an experience that comes to mind that are connected with these feelings. So I'm going to play some music, and we're just going to have a couple minutes for you to write. Okay, so I know you could probably write more, but we're going to move on to a second point. That point is how we learned to cope. We all have coping mechanisms that, and masks perhaps, that we wear in order to survive and to keep ourselves safe. If you're familiar with real love, we're talking about getting and protecting behaviors, things that we did. We hid our emotions. We wore a mask to try to be a people pleaser, or perhaps we became a victim, or a caretaker. We took care of everyone. Sometimes we ran away, or we just built walls. Many times people use addictions as well to numb the pain that comes from that they feel. So myself, one of my coping mechanisms I realized was to become a responsible person and feel like I had to do everything right. And I know that, doing this, I was looking back, I recognized I was trying to make order out of somewhat chaotic life. But, all of these coping methods, it's not about blaming ourselves. It's just recognizing, becoming aware of the ways that we coped. And so you're not limited to the list here. But take a few minutes to write down anything that you recognize that you did. Even lying on here means that we don't tell the whole truth. Sometimes we tell things that, like even something as simple as when someone asks how we're doing, we say fine when we're really not fine. We're in turmoil, or we're sad, or we're lonely, or we're frustrated. So again, take a few minutes to just think about recognize any coping methods that you have used, you currently use, or you have used in your life. Okay, let me stop sharing here for a minute. So I hope everyone is doing okay. We are going to, I'm just going to check the breakout rooms here. So what we're going to do is take the opportunity to just share with you'll have two or one or two other people in the breakout room with you, and just share any insights, any realization that you have had, or something that you're currently working on with those amongst these painful emotions and coping methods that we have developed. And remember, again, I'm just saying that we need to do this so that we can become aware of what we need to pay attention to. And when you come back from the breakout rooms, then we're going to have opportunity to look at some ways that we can help ourselves in doing this. So you'll have about 12 minutes to share. I'll message when it is time, if everyone hasn't shared, that you'll have time to be able to, let's see. Yeah, and also if there's anybody, actually, I should have said this before. If there's anyone who's not able to go into a breakout room, please put that in the chat so that I don't put you in there. Okay. All right. I'm going to open the rooms now. Welcome back. So, I hope that you're doing well. This is not this is not an easy part of noticing and paying attention to ourselves. I'm going to share my screen again, and going to talk about what we can do, how we can be able to help ourselves to continue to grow, to move on from and some tools. 1 second. Okay. So emotions and experiences that we had when we were children that we couldn't deal with, sometimes it's like we took them and we wrapped them up and put them in the freezer. But now, as an adult, we have the opportunity to unwrap them and find healthy ways of dealing with them. So I'm learning, as I said, that I was kind of duty driven and being responsible. I got my value and worth from that. But I'm learning that I can accept that being organized is okay. It's a gift. It's not a curse. There was a time I felt like it was a curse. But also I am learning to ask for help when I need it and to not feel like it's a burden, and also to take responsibility for my own needs. And then I choose what I take on. I'm choosing it. I'm deciding that this is something that I want to be responsible. So eventually, all of us become exhausted. We come to a point of being exhausted and tired of living this way. And that is where our loving adult or our higher self comes in. In order to help us move on or rescue us from our suffering. And we have to allow ourselves to, sometimes we have to let go of some things or even fall apart a little bit and relax and feel comfortable enough to show the pain that's inside or to share that with somebody else so that we can be able to begin to move on from that. So the loving adult, as a loving adult, we have to learn how to be present and to be unconditional with ourselves and non-judgmental of ourselves and even those people in the past who hurt us. It's not easy, but learning how to forgive is part of our healing process, and also to learn to cherish and support our inner child. So recognizing things that when you were younger brought you joy and figuring out ways to bring that more into your life now. When I was living in Georgia, I went through this whole process. I was there for 5 years because of my husband's work. And one of the things that brought me joy was playing music. I played the flute, which I hadn't played for many years. But I found a adult band, a community band that I joined. And just being part of that community brought me a lot of joy and helped me sort of to reconnect with that joy from the past. Sorry, there's somebody who, if you could mute yourself, I can hear some noise coming through. Also learning how to take responsibility for our own needs. So like when I recognize that I have these things that I wrapped up and put in the freezer because that was the safe way to, because I didn't know how to deal with it. Taking them out one by one means that I have to figure out what to do with it then. You know, what do I need to do with the emotions and feelings that connect with that? Sometimes we have to get someone, whether it's a pastor or a good friend or a coach or a counselor, to help us with that, to help us unpack it and figure out how to take responsibility from my needs, from moving from feeling like a victim to feeling like somebody who is taking responsibility for my needs and recovery. Sometimes it means making boundaries and not saying yes to everything. Maybe sometimes it means that we have to protect ourselves from situations that are very difficult and triggering for a while until we learn how to regulate our emotions. And also begin to nourish the child within with with healthy things instead of giving into unhealthy impulses, like maybe some kind of addiction of vegging on Netflix, or some people shop a lot, some people overeat, and then finding ways to bring more things into our lives that bring us joy. That's what I was talking about before. So it could be something as simple as, um, you know, bringing in, you love colors and textures, so you create some kind of decoration for the season in your home, like a little altar, and you recognize the seasons. Whatever, maybe it's just taking up knitting because that brought you joy in the past. Maybe if you have grandchildren, some are children, maybe that's interacting with them and trying to just be present without having an agenda. And also exercising self-respect, respecting ourselves and seeing ourselves as worthy. So there's two tools I'd like to introduce here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen just for a moment. Oh, I see that there's some things in the chat. Let's see here. Okay, thank you for everybody who's written. So a very simple thing. God gave us the ability to regulate our emotions by breathing. We all have this ability. Sometimes we don't exercise it. So I'm going to show you just a simple example of just, if you want to put your hands here, you can, but we're going to breathe in something that I want more of in my life, and breathe out something that I want to let go. So when you do this on your own, I suggest that you make a list of something that you want to breathe in, something that you want to breathe out. But for now, I'm just going to demonstrate it for you. So let's say, so you don't have to say this, you can. You just think it in your mind. So we're going to breathe in calmness. And we're going to breathe out frustration. We're going to breathe in peace. And we're going to breathe out anger. We're going to breathe in hope. And we're going to breathe out hopelessness. We're going to breathe in self-love. And we're going to breathe out lack of self-worth. We're going to breathe in connection to our own goodness. We're going to breathe out low self-esteem. Okay, so there's no right or wrong way to do this except just making a list of things you recognize that you want to have more of in your life. There's no wrong answers, and things that connect with that you want to let go of. And this is especially good to do when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. You can even just do this silently. You don't have to, if you're somewhere that's causing you stress, you can leave and go to the bathroom or to another room. So it's just a simple thing. Make a list and breathe in and breathe out. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. So the second thing that we're going to work on right now is making an affirmation. So affirmation is a daily reminder to ourselves of something that we are working towards. This is a great tool. Back when I first started doing self-work, I made an affirmation and I put it, I wrote it on an index card and I put it on my mirror where I brushed my teeth. So I at least saw it twice a day and I said it to myself. But you can say it as many times as you want. When we wake up in the morning before we go to bed, it's a natural time. So you're going to have another opportunity now to work on, oops, sorry. I thought I had a slide here. Hold on one second. Okay, actually, we're going to do that in just a minute. So I'm going to share some more content first. So as I said, the 4 steps of transformation, which comes from A Crystal Within, a generational healing program. The first step is self-awareness, noticing. The second step is acceptance, recognizing that challenges are triggers, are part of our wounded child, and accept our role as the loving parent to help heal this. And then notice how we feel towards this part of ourselves. Instead of wanting to hide it away or feeling frustrated with it, assess with curiosity and compassion and do our best to be able to be open to looking at things in a new way. Maybe ask for remind yourself of the stories and the feelings, the needs that go along with those memories, those painful memories. So this is all part of reparenting our inner child. You know, kids and grandkids are great ways to bring up the things that trigger us. So when we have children and grandchildren, they give us the opportunity to reparent our inner child. So as I said, notice, pay attention. It might mean that you have to be intentional and create space in the morning or in the evening to think about these things. Because if we don't pay attention to them, it's very difficult to do anything about them. And we have to also meet our own needs, give ourselves permission to say no when we feel overwhelmed, and practice accepting ourselves without judgment. Practicing, like when something happens and you recognize that that's one of your challenges or triggers. You say, oh yeah, I recognize this. I know this feeling, or I know this emotion. Yeah, this is something I'm working on. We don't have to feel the shame or judgment of ourselves. And as we do this, then we are asking for stories and we're reparenting from the loving adult. And again, it's not about judging those of our past. They did the best they could, loving us in the best way that they could. And gradually, as we do this work, then also we may need to seek wise guidance, as I said, from a friend, from a pastor, from a coach or a counselor. And as we do see this work, actually, we gradually have the masks begin to disappear and our coping methods disappear, and integrating the stories of our past. That doesn't mean they go away, but they stop having the same amount of tension or pain in our life. And as we continue to do this, our original self comes forward, and then we slowly are integrating our inner child and our adult child. And this is the desired goal, that we integrate all that is from our past, all of our memories and resources integrated together. And it's something that then we can be more free. As I said in the beginning, being able to access all of our experiences in our inner child and sort of lessen maybe the pain that comes with the memories, then we are more free to connect to others, to our spouse, to our children, grandchildren, and to Heavenly Parent. So Now is the time that we're going to write an affirmation. So get out your paper and your pen or pencil. I gave some samples here of just to get you started. I would suggest that they don't need to be too long. I'm a child of God, worthy of love and support. Or if it's hard to say I am, you can say I am learning or I'm working towards. I'm learning to love and accept myself just as I am. I live my life honoring my true value. I'm working towards acceptance of myself and others. So it's important also that an affirmation is an evolving thing, that you're writing it for you, something that feels authentic, but it can be changed or updated anytime. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to write, and then if anyone would like to share theirs, we'll have time for that. Okay, so as I said, um, an affirmation, sometimes it takes us time to feel how it is, how it resonates, or to reword it so it is authentic. It feels like it's really you. Is there anyone who would like to unmute and share their affirmation? Mary Ellen? Mary Ellen, did you want to share? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I am a work in progress. I'm developing patience for myself and others.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Maria?
Yeah. I wrote I am worthy and I can grow and feel complete.
Okay, great. Kazue, did you want to share? Oh, she left. Is there someone else who would like to share? Okay, Lisa says, I am a valuable daughter of God and I matter. Yeah, you can also write it in the chat if you don't want to unmute and share it out loud. Anyone else? Okay, so just to conclude our the session today, I want to introduce you to a
Hey, Myrna, did you see the chat? Did you see the chat?
oh, what? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so Junta says I am conscientious, kind, loyal, and steadfast. Yes. Anyone else?
Marie Bond raised her hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, Marie, please go ahead. Unmute.
Okay, thank you.
I missed your.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you, Mary Ellen. Yeah, I wrote that my relationship with God helps me to digest anything negative.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So I encourage you to, when you get off the call, to write this down on a piece of paper and put it someplace that you will see it and use it. You know, and you can add to it, you can change it as time goes on. It's not myself. I have actually 3 different versions here of different things I'm working on. So I just keep them next to my work area here so I can pull them out and look at them. So I think it's important for us to remind ourselves of this. So what I want to do now, I'm going to close the session with we're going to just listen to a song by Shania Noel. She is a singer, Christian singer, but she also has a whole album of, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to start it yet. She has a whole album that is of, oh, sorry, one second. I think I got the wrong one. But she has a whole album of inner child songs that
That's by Dal.
Sorry, I'll get that record. That relate to our relationship with God, with Heavenly Parent, as well as being, you know, connecting with our own inner child and feeling the depth of it. I feel like music.
Absolutely.
I feel like music does that well for us. Okay, so let me share it again now. Sorry. So just sit comfortably. Close your eyes if you want to. This is called You Can Relax Now. Oh, sorry, one more thing. I have to stop the recording here because it's has a copyright on it. So if you're listening to this recording here, I'll put the link into the follow-up email. Sorry, one second. It went on to the next song. Sorry about that. Okay.
So thank you, Myrna. I mean, somebody just commented that she learned a lot and had the chat open, but Me too. And I realized that even that you do this inner child work, it's just layer by layer, and it can be very painful actually, because we don't want to feel those painful emotions. So they come up, and it's not easy. But thank you, Myrna. I really what a wonderful presentation. And now we have a little bit time for questions. If you have any questions or comments, you can raise your hand on the reaction button, or you can type them on the chat. So if you have any questions for Myrna, now is the time.
Or
Or
comments. Or
Mhm.
comments, yeah. Mary Ellen, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really know how to ask this question, but it has something to do with, intergenerational kind. You realize when you begin to reflect on yourself that you've probably infected your children with some of your own problems, and you want to ask forgiveness from them. It's I just don't know how to start that process, and
Yeah,
suggestions.
I think that the way to start it is by starting with ourselves first, like working through some of the emotions that we have, becoming more aware, because then we can share our experience with our children that, like my husband and I, when we were in Georgia, we went through a process where we actually read all of the real love books, and we went to a workshop with Greg Bear. So we started talking about our relationship and regrets that we had with our own children. And then we took the opportunity one Christmas, as we were gathering at an Airbnb, to say we wanted to talk to them and, just share some of our experience. What were we were realizing, regrets that we have. I think the important thing is that when we're talking with our adult children, that we're not asking, like, we can ask for their, we can say I'm sorry or ask for their forgiveness, but we're not doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for them. We're doing it to let go of something that we ourselves are holding on to. And maybe it's bit by bit. It's very interesting also when I did a lot of this self-work, and I had a lot of resentment towards my own mom, and it wasn't something I knew how to talk to her about. But somehow the energy changed. She's still alive, and she started talking about the regret she had of not being a better mother. So I think it's like not one exact path. It's open to be it's a process, like Lisa said, there's many layers. Like our healing process is like a giant onion, and we start peeling it away a little bit by little bit. So also, when I've shared this before, but one thing I did with my oldest son, I realized that he was allergic to me, that I was always telling him what to do. And so my husband was telling me, when we have a call, just listen, don't say anything. And so then I wrote a letter to him. For 1 year, every week I wrote a letter to him, just saying how much I appreciate him as my son, and a little bit, I'm sorry that I didn't do this, or I didn't, I wasn't more aware, and I want to be open to it now. And he never said anything about receiving the letters, but our relationship changed gradually. So I think it's just starting from somewhere, starting from our recognizing and healing ourselves, and then looking to how, maybe sometimes it's just changing how we relate to our adult children, not even saying anything, just being more open and aware and being present. I don't know if that gives you enough, Mary Ellen.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, Jutta. Can you unmute?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I recently had a conversation with my son, and what you were talking about, I don't think he's allergic to me. Actually, we are very similar. But one thing I discovered during our conversation was that when he was young, my husband was traveling a lot and he was gone. So I was like the mother and had to take care of all the circumstances at home. And I remember one time when dad called from, I don't know, Philippines or Korea or somewhere, he didn't want to talk to dad.
Mm.
And to me, it was just a memory I had and I shared it with him. But then he was saying something which really kind of shocked me, that from then on, he always felt like he was the man of the house and he had to be kind of like a mother to me even. And I'm thinking, what does that mean? How can I deal with that? And it was just and I'm still trying to deal with it because our conversation ended there very abrupt and not very pleasant. But yeah, anyway, if you have some idea or some thought on that, I would appreciate it.
Well, I think one thing that you can do, maybe you have to prepare yourself first, but you could just say to your son, I would like to hear, can you tell me more what that experience was like for you? And then you just say, I'm sorry that it was so challenging, or I'm sorry that it was like that. We can't go back and change that, but I would like to, work on our relationship going forward. What would you like us to do together, or what do you need from me? I think it's just to be open to explore it. Just because he felt that way doesn't mean that was the real situation. That was just somehow his feeling.
Yeah, well, actually, it became one more time an issue. I mean, when my husband passed away, he felt like he had to take over and kind of provide for me a path. In fact, we bought a house together and I lived here for 4 years, but something happened and, it's not going to work well.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, and sometimes in very difficult circumstances that we need someone else to help us personally, or a mediator to help us,
Yeah.
to navigate. Also, Marie put something in the chat that I think every mother has been doing her best, no matter how lacking she is. So it's important to accept ourselves and believe in the end of the day that our love is and sacrifice, we can overcome our shortcomings. So I think that's true. We have to somehow get to a point of forgiving ourselves. Just like our parents, they did the best they could. We did the best we could. And now hopefully we have the ability, being a parent never stops. Just because they're now 30 years old, we're still their parent, right? So how can we heal, or how can we improve our way of relating? And sometimes listening is the best way, even if we don't agree with what they said, how they viewed the past. Sometimes they just have to know that we love them beyond whatever difference we have with each other.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Lisa, go ahead.
Yes. So can you tell us more about those letters you wrote your son? Was it a snail mail or email? And what did you write every week? That's a lot. 1 year every week. That's a lot of letters. How long were
It was
they?
at that point, it was snail mail, and I didn't write a lot each time. I purposely got note cards because you can't write so much in the note card, right? But I just wrote, thinking of you. I mean, because we talked with him every couple weeks or something. Thinking of you. Hope your new job is going well. I just am thinking about sometimes I shared a memory of something that I had, a good memory of something that I had. And, just sometimes I said I was sorry that I was more so stressed. I was stressed a lot as a mother. And when I realize now I didn't tell him that, but I think I did what some people call unconscious parenting, where I just met the needs and I did what had to be done, but I didn't engage my heart. So the letters, I tried to engage my heart with him. That was the point. However, it could easily be done also with just a text, say, thinking of you, hope, looking forward to seeing you on Sunday, hope, or something, whatever it is, whatever. Just because I think that that's what our kids need to know, is that they're important to us. So I don't think there's a right or wrong way. And right now I can't actually remember everything I wrote, but mostly it was just about connection, creating connection.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and keep weekly connection.
Yeah.
Because even if they're adults, they need that connection to us.
Right. Also, I think maybe I can share this in the follow-up email. There's two things. One is that maybe I'll share this right now. I have a list of guiding questions that I suggest that we ask questions more than telling them what to do. So asking questions to get them thinking deeper and get them talking. And then the second thing is, I've been working on a project with Crescentia Degodi. It's I'll put the link in the chat. It's called A Deeper Connection. And we have interviewed adult children and parents, and they talk about how they worked through their challenges. And we have like 3 or 4 more coming soon. How the newest one, Andrew Love, just came out, and he talked about how his own healing journey has helped him to become a better parent, a more present parent. So I think, learning from other people's experiences sometimes helps us as well, because, everybody's is different. And so I'll put that link in the chat, and I will also put it in the follow-up email. Maybe also just, just having a group like this, or creating something yourself where you talk about the journey to be a better parent, like just sharing with each other, because that's creating connection and heart with maybe other sisters. It could be on Zoom, it could be in your community.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great idea. Okay, so we are coming almost to the end of the session. I think we have all the. Is there anybody else who wants to say anything? Okay. All right, so we're looking forward to follow-up newsletter, and if you can put that link for the guiding questions, that would be awesome. I think that practical help.
Yeah.
The newsletter.
I'll put it in the newsletter because
Yeah.
because it's a document. So
yeah. Okay, so now before we wrap up, we would like to introduce the next month presentation. It's called the Nourished Life, Healthy for the Holidays, with Corina Schmidt-Tat, a nutritional therapy practitioner. And what better way to prepare for the holidays than this one? So make sure that you put this on your calendar and attend, because I think that will be fun and also very informative session. And Myrna just set the link on there, and then Myrna will start. She already mentioned she will start the book club, Recovery of Inner Child, of Your Inner Child, November 24 to January 25. And any one of you who would like to join this 10-week study group, which is very, very beneficial, you can put your email address on the chat, and we can send you, Myrna's going to send you more information. Oh, you also will put that in a follow-up newsletter, right, Myrna? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
But if you already know you want to attend, you can just send us put an email on the chat. So this wraps up our presentation today. Thank you for attending. Thank you for your time. And we look forward seeing you next month again. And then until then, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and all the people around you. Bring that love, and have a wonderful month. See you next time. Bye.
Okay, I guess I'll stop recording here.